Welcome back to season 3 of Broke to Woke. This season, we are talking about not just living and moving from being broke into being woke, but how to have an entire life focused on impact. We're going to talk about that and how you can transcend into the next season of your life.
"10 years ago, Britnie Turner, you were living in your car, broke and broken. And then you moved into eventually a 30,000 square foot castle not long after that, realistically. And now you live in a tent."
I've upgraded. Still got it.
Someone please make that a jingle for your brand. I still got it. She does. She does still have it. And there's so much that's been happening over the last
so many
12
things
months.
Since season 2. What?
Yes. We're in season 3 now.
We've arrived.
And we are going to be impacting the world with our voices, but most importantly, our missions and our drive to really influence this world to be better.
I'm so excited.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I mean, I got 3 tattoos in preparation for this season. So that's one of my highlights since last season.
3
What about
brand
you?
new tattoos.
Tell me some of your highlights.
Well, I've been married. I got married on February 14th,
Yay.
2021 to my beautiful bride, Svetlana Newsom. And then we had a child,
Aww.
Jason Michael Newsom, on September 2nd, 2021. Yeah. And Britnie, for me to say that out loud it's emotional because if we go back 5 years ago, we didn't know each other 5 years ago, although we should have.
I know.
We go back 5 years ago, I would never even imagined that I'd be sitting here across the table with you and where we're at in this location, in this studio, next to that 30,000 square foot castle that you used to reside in, that I'm now kind of in, as I'm more or less staying in your old room. This is incredible. And I just love how clarity and vision can do that for anyone listening to this right now. There is power in that. And you are, if I'm allowed to say, the best in the world at that.
Thank you. Thank you. I've developed getting good at it because I've watched the hyper fast path of being able to bring those things into your life if you're clear. And it's not even as woo-woo as people would make that sound. It's like, oh, you're attracting this. No, it's not weird. Literally, don't get distracted and you will be able to get the stuff that was put in your heart. It's there for a reason. And so if you don't just wander around, like we talk about a dying fish, flopping around, drifting, if you have some clarity, it's really amazing how fast things start happening. And it happens for you because, again, you're called to it. You're supposed to walk in it. So the doors will open. This will take place, but it does take that time to find center, to listen, to stop avoiding, to stop running away and getting lost in what the world is trying to distract you with. What is it that you are supposed to do? And it's been really fun to observe your life and how fast you're achieving things and scaling your relationships first, which has been really interesting. Who you are, the impact you're having, and then your businesses follow. And we were talking about that. It's so cool when we wrote out all the things that we did in the last year.
Yep.
And we've achieved so many things, but I had to categorize it because I'm used to categorizing. All right, which bucket does this fall into? And it was like, okay, there's a relationship one, there's an achievement one, and then the next 9 were in the impact category for me. And I was like, I arrived. Oh my gosh, 12-year-old Britnie.
Yes.
We did it. You actually have a life surrounded with activities that embody all of your values, and you get to help so many people. Like right now, in this moment, we've got teams working on entrepreneurship programs in areas that over 1,200 people, 1,200 little girls under the age of 14 are pregnant from their dad right now. It's terrible. And we've got a team in Ukraine right now, literally trying to rescue orphans from an abandoned orphanage. We've got so many amazing things we've been able to accomplish. We've got a person heading out to California to donate blood to somebody dying from cancer. Like in just like this moment, there's like 9 initiatives that because I was faithful to wanting to be a force for good and accumulate wealth and resources and influence, we're able to orchestrate so much good. And so I've loved seeing this really flow through your impact and your voice and your audience and following, and how you're lighting people on fire to live their passion, live their calling. So I'm overwhelmingly impressed with you, Jerremy Newsom.
Back over here. It's the exact same, because when we're going through season 3, this is season 3, by the way, you're listening to it. This is the start, the pinnacle, the apex, the genesis of season 3. And when we were preparing for this, we were writing down some bullet points, some of the things that we wanted to do. And as you mentioned just a moment ago, we were talking about impacts and relationships in different categories. But one of the things that I noticed, and I'll share this with you as you're going through, because I'm reading what you have received in your life and what I have and what we've done these last 12 months together, you didn't mention anything about money.
Mm-mm. And we both didn't mention anything about COVID.
No. So wild. The pandemic. There was not a word in there about, I had to overcome this because of COVID or this because of COVID. These are labels. And earlier you mentioned a very, very specific word, right? Faith. Mm-hmm. That approach of saying, listen, I have this calling, I have this journey, I have this path. And these labels that are given to us by the outside world, we can adopt them as our own or not. Mm-hmm. We can realize that they're there and they are traumatic and they are hard, but we can focus on whatever we choose to focus on. Mm-hmm. And that focus will lead you to your path of clarity and growth and hyper impact, or negativity and failure.
That's really, we talked about this before, but what are the holy sounding excuses that are blocking you from everything you want to achieve? And in the last 2 years, there's been a pandemic going on. I don't think we've brought it up in an episode, and it's kind of a big deal. Yes. Of course it affected us.
100%.
But are we find a way or find an excuse type people? We're find a way people, not only find a way for ourselves, but how can we find a way on behalf of others? I saw a video the other day. I at least had the mental fortitude to tell somebody to film the day I found out about the borders closing and how it would affect the most major project of my entire life. Mm-hmm. This project is the keeper of like the future for me and like the calling on my life. It's like the vehicle in which I want to pull off my impact. And the borders closing is a really big deal. Mm-hmm. And I had somebody film it, and I was crying because I couldn't help it. And I was like, how? But in that moment, I still said, how can we find a way to help people through this upcoming tough season? And I looked back and I'm like, wow, I'm really proud, Britnie, that even in that moment, you were getting crushed, and I knew it would be a massive financial hit too. You're still others centered. Now, I'm not saying that to toot my horn and look how great I am. I'm telling you that when you're squeezed, mm-hmm. that's when we find out what kind of juice is inside that fruit. Because you can paint an apple to look like an orange. You can do all kind of things. But until that fruit is squeezed, you don't know what's really inside. And so sometimes in life, you'll have these opportunities to really see what you're made of. We always want to think we'll do the right thing, but you won't know. Until then. So no matter what's going on, if it's a pandemic today, if it's war tomorrow, if it's whatever, like, first of all, who are you? How are you going to figure this out no matter what? And how are you going to find a way to be a blessing? And I think we've both been able to do that in really creative and weird ways over the last 2 years. And I'm excited to share that in season 3.
The speed at which you mentioned just a moment ago, okay, you heard that the borders are closing. I've seen this film for everyone listening to this. It is. It's a very emotional film. It's very touching. And she was crying. And you could see her body and her composition and her internal fortitude was shaken and was mad and was upset and was afraid and was fearful. The speed at which your brain went, okay, how can we make this a good thing? Mm-hmm. My friends who are listening to this, that speed is within every single person. We often dwell far too long on those negative consequences, those outside forces, those labels, the opposition that is given to us. We hang out there far too long. And I don't know if that's a gift or curse, if it's natural, if it was learned by Britnie and myself, but it's something that we both share. When something negative happens to us, that speed, changing that from how can we make this a positive is seconds.
Right.
5, 6 seconds max.
But we're not born like that.
No.
This is a developed,
Yes.
powerful mindset. You could call it a winning mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want any potentially cheesy sounding labels to block you from engaging in this. Like, you're either going to be a winner in life or you're not. And it's going to follow your mindset. So in the beginning, I'd get hit and it would take me 2 weeks because I had a reason to be upset. 2 weeks to rebound. And then I got it down to a week. And then I got it down to a couple of days. And I get it down to hours. And now I get it down to minutes. Really, minutes. I'm not upset very long. I have very high highs and very low lows.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the tattoo about that one. But it's, you can bounce back. How do you bounce back? It's about remembering. God never left me or forsook me. He's always with me. Everything turns out to be a blessing. The path, don't ever curse the path or the past, because you can only curse something if you have a decided outcome, but you can't see the fullness of time. You don't know all the blessings that are working for you despite the plan that you had, that you can't see how it worked out yet. You just don't know. And you don't even know the ripple effect of the next generation.
She's back.
And so we could sit here across the table and we could spend 30 episodes just talking about the blessings that are in our life because the pandemic came.
We could easily.
We could.
Very simple.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and filter and say, oh, the pandemic, that's why I gained 30 pounds. That's why I don't have a job. That's why I play so many video games. The pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to say, look at the blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the time. Look at where I get to work now. Look at the relationships I have. Look at who I became. Look at the books I read. Look at the new things I had the guts to try. Like, who are you?
Holy sounding excuses.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go back to that one for a moment. You kind of just threw that one by me. Didn't think I would notice. Why do we create those seemingly very powerful, very normal, socially acceptable excuses that are holy sounding?
I've really worked hard to brainwash myself. It's going to sound so weird, but whatever. To brainwash myself into not caring about society as much as I can.
Yeah.
Of course, I care about the humans, but their opinions and their need to affirm me has changed, because if you look back at society across the world, they changed their mind on especially what women are allowed to do every decade. What are we allowed to do? What's right? What's holy? What's pure? But no. At the end of the day, my relationship is with God. I have one life and I'm accountable for my actions. So what am I supposed to do and who am I accountable to versus what sounds good so I can get away with it? For example, I'm not going to address the big problems in my life because I'm on missions. I'm out rescuing people and doing this. That can still be an excuse. It can sound really good, but it's still an excuse. What are you avoiding? And are you avoiding it by doing something that looks really good? You could say, I'm prioritizing my health. No, you're avoiding your marriage.
Wait a minute. Are you saying it goes both ways?
Absolutely. 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 That's it. That's why it's so important that you are centered, that you are listening and you know yourself, because you know the best version of yourself and you know who you're called to be. And that standard is the standard you have to live up to, not the standard of what anybody else is doing, because we all have a different calling. And so this season, we're going to be diving into some of the things we did really right and some of the things we did really wrong so that you can learn anything we can possibly impart to you. That's my goal. What is your goal?
My goal is the same goal as it's been all of the previous 2 seasons. I'll give you 2 goals. I'm sorry. One of my main goals is make sure that your voice gets heard, that your voice is echoed through the generations and through the legacies, because your voice is one of power and of truth and of honesty and of integrity. So that's my number one goal of this entire program. I love you. Second goal, and I got to take the word impact, right? That's what I'm here for. My wife once told me a few months ago, she has an amazing gift at healing and pouring into the souls of people. And she said that my journey on this earth essentially is to heal the soul of mankind. And I was like, that's too heavy for me.
Good Lord.
Like, can you? No, please no. That's really heavy.
All right. Good night, babe.
Thank you.
What?
Oh, yeah. You can't put that kind of pressure on me.
A lot.
I wanted to use that as like you said, an excuse where I get to go, no, I can't do this thing because I have all this huge. No, you have to pick. And I'm going to go ahead and share it with everyone right now. You asked me right before we started, what was your biggest takeaway of the year last year? What was the takeaway? And I know exactly what it was without even wondering. It was from you. And it was not that long ago. There was a specific event that you were hosting, that we were hosting together, and you were doing a presentation that was just on fire. It was on fire.
Thank you.
And you said that God will never give you what you can't handle, including all of the good things that you might not be able to handle. That rocked me to the core. That was really heavy for me because hopefully that's heavy for everybody. Because a lot of us, again, when you're talking about the excuses, Britnie, you're saying those holy sounding excuses. A lot of people go, well, that's all the negatives, right? All the negatives that happen to your life. My best friend died. My father passed away. I was sued. I was bankrupt. The stock market went down. The stock market went up. I wasn't in the right positions, whatever. You can create those and go, oh, I couldn't do these things for that reason. I didn't have the time. I was tired. Or you can create, again, like you mentioned, all the positives that came into your life. You can also use those as excuses. So the exact same opposite, if God can't give you what you can't handle, that includes all the positives and all the negatives as well. So we have to figure out ways to impact others. But here's the kicker, my friends. What we're going to be doing for the next several episodes is figuring out how we can impact you and us interchangeably, because we are the ones that have to create that internal impact so that when our cup is full, we can truly provide, truly give to a massive and totally different elevated place of consciousness and awareness.
And when we say impact, we mean for you to look at your life and look at how powerful you are and look at what you're capable of achieving, not to sound cool, but achieving meaning walking in your life calling so that you have fulfillment.
Each step.
If you do not, you will always have this giant gaping hole, and you're going to be trying to fill it with whatever gets you high today. Could be enough likes, could be food, could be whatever. What is the thing you're trying to fill that void in, because you're avoiding your own greatness, and that greatness is a gift to others. So we will see you in episode 2.